music is your table talk? I mean, are you having a good time? Are you gaining some information? Is it a little bit of both when you're at the table?
I'd say it's a bit of both. I'd say it's more just because it's fun. It's pretty boring to play poker. So if you sit there and don't do anything, it's kind of a miserable existence. So I kind of like to have fun with it. Most of the time I'm just, shooting the shit, trying to have a good time. The thing is most people give up information when they talk. They give away strengths of their hands, and they give away when they're comfortable in situations and when they're uncomfortable. And, sometimes they give away their motivation, especially like in the main event.
What do you mean by that, motivation?
Well, if you get somebody who's satellited into a tournament for $100 or something like that, right? As opposed to someone who put up the $10,000. Well, their motivation is very likely to be towards cashing rather than towards winning. So you can play a lot more aggressively against someone like that. Just because. I mean, if you get someone who's there for the first time, they're there for the experience. They don't want to bust out in the first hour of play, right? So they're going to play super tight early on, so you can take advantage of that situation. So, find out about, where people are from and how they got into the tournament is a really valuable thing to do. I think it's important to, think about everything while you're at the table, The best players out there are all thinking about everything, and if you're not doing the same, then you're giving something up. I think anytime you can find anything that's to your advantage, you have to use that tool, especially nowadays with the deal getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How has poker changed over the last few years? I mean, the younger guns are coming along. They know all the math. I mean, they're playing thousands and thousands of hands. What's the biggest difference over the last couple of years?
The big difference that these guys are bringing to the game, I think, that wasn't as much before, is they're bringing a lot more variance to the game. These guys are 3-betting, 4-betting, 5-betting, 6-betting with nothing all the time. And they're forcing you to take stances, and they're forcing you to gamble in situations that you wouldn't like to do, especially someone like myself who prefers to play, post-flop poker. These guys are making me play a lot more pre-flop than I would like to. That being said, and there's a lot of the young internet guys that I truly respect and think are really great players. But I'll tell you what, given the success that some of these guys had online, you would think that they would have had a lot more success in the live venues than they have. And it just shows you that the two skill sets are completely different, and it takes a hell of a player to be great at both.
I take it you're the kind of guy that can go online, play a certain way, adjust your game for live. I know you're brilliant at live play. What is the big difference? I mean, are you actually reading tells by the way they sit, by the way they smile, by the way they move the chips? Is that all really happening at the table?
Yeah, when you're playing live, you're hopefully picking up on everything. And the thing is, most of your information about players comes from information you get when you're not in the hand. When you're in the hand, like when you're in the middle of a fight, it's hard to sort of figure out exactly how that guy's throwing the right cross because you're just trying to defend against it as fast as you can, right? But when you're out of a fight and watching this guy and breaking down his game, you're like, wow, look at that way that right cross is always, he's always coming in high with it. And you can make a lot of decisions. And it's the same thing in poker. When you're out of the hand, you can gather so much information about people's tendencies that you wouldn't, even get if you're just paying attention when you're in the hand.
Let me put you on the spot. Is there a particular instance, maybe over the years, a big moment in one of the tournaments you played, going back 3-4 years perhaps, maybe last year, that exact situation came up where you're sitting there, two guys are going at it, you picked up something, and it helped you advance to that one extra spot for more money, or maybe perhaps help you win the tournament?
I'm not so sure I can necessarily explain where I gathered the information earlier, but the time that I got probably the most telling tell in a tournament was when I was playing in the pot versus, we were heads up in New Orleans. I was playing against Peter Feldman. And there was a time in a hand where I ended up having quite a weak holding. I had 8-5, where I kind of go down low, just sort of as a joke at the time. And here's a guy that had never cracked a smile the entire tournament, and all of a sudden, when I went down low, he had the smallest of smirks. And I'm like, if he was really, truly tense, and wanted me to call, then that wouldn't come out. And so when it came out, I was able to make the call and turned out to be right. But he went on to win the tournament anyway, so it didn't really help.
Now, the World Series of Poker is upon us. Big year for you back in 2010. Can you take us back and describe for us, if you can, what's it like taking that picture? You know the one, the bundles of cash, and of course the coveted piece of jewelry. That must be something special, I guess, the culmination of a poker dream.
It was, but the biggest thing is, I really love and appreciate the fact that I've won a bracelet. But before 2010, when I kept getting on that stupid list of best player never to win a bracelet,
yeah.
I always used to say that, and mean it, that, the field so big nowadays that I truly don't believe that your career will be gauged on whether or not you've won a bracelet. Because I think there's going to be a lot of great players just never pick through and win a bracelet. They're hard to win now. The fields are really big. So, winning that was great, and I'm very happy to do so. But basically, I played, professional poker to support my family and myself and to make a living. So it's more about the money. And as far as that goes, I had in my career, I think I had 4 or 5 other cashes bigger than the cash I got at the World Series. So I guess realistically, I've got to rank it, 4th and 5th in the things that I've done, because to me it's more about the money than it is.
You really mean that, Gavin? 4th or 5th?
I would say that if people ask me the thing I'm most proud of in my poker career, I think I'm going to say winning the Player of the Year on the World Poker Tour. It wasn't that I was just super hot for one tournament. I played great for a whole year, and that was wonderful. And then I think if you go back to my second greatest moment, I think I'm going to go to the Mirage, because that was the tournament that let me think that I could actually do this.
I mean, that's a big one, isn't it? 1.1 million.
And so the bracelet is fantastic, and I'm excited, and I want to win another one more than anything in the world. But I don't gauge the success of my career based on whether or not I won that.
Well said, Gavin. Now listen, do you do anything to gear up for the World Series of Poker? It's upon us. It's certainly a long haul, isn't it? I mean, it's a tough go over the next month and a half.
Yeah. We're playing. I'll be playing every day for 6 weeks, and trying to see my kids as often as I can in between that. And so it's going to be a busy 6 weeks. But it's also the most exciting 6 weeks of the year. I mean, every year right now, every poker player in the world is so excited, and every year, a month from now, every poker player in the world can't really wait for it to be done. So it's about the same, and so I try to keep those level as I can, but I'm very excited. I'm going to be playing a full schedule and hopefully getting bracelet number 2.
Are you making any crazy prop bets this year?
No, I'm going to avoid the prop bets. I'm just going to get out there and try and play my best day in, day out, and see what I can do.
Okay, now I suppose deep down somewhere, you probably thought at some time, somewhere, some bar perhaps, that you might have been the first Canuck to win the main event. But what did it mean to you a few years back to watch a Canadian pull off that what's becoming an increasingly impossible task? You talk about the large fields to win that main event. Jonathan Duhamel, you're watching. He becomes crowned the world champion. What was that like as a fellow Canadian to watch that?
I mean, he's from Quebec. I don't know about that. I don't know. As far as I like Jonathan, and I was happy to see him win, but all his crowd had frickin' Montreal Canadiens. I can't stand the Canadians, so I actually went to that final table and sat there with my Toronto Maple Leafs jersey on.
All right, well, we're going to get to that. Now, we play a game here on High Roller Radio called Rapid Fire, so I'm going to throw out some names and phrases real quick, and not to be a psychologist or anything, but if you could give a real quick response, a sentence or two, first thing that comes to the mind type of deal. You set? All right, first name, Eric Lindgren.
One of my best friends in the world. Gave him my start, and I wouldn't be in poker without him.
Phil Hellmuth.
Fantastic guy. Tons of fun, and one of the funniest guys I know.
Daniel Negreanu.
No, Negreanu's a good guy and great poker player, and at times a little too outspoken for my liking.
The World Poker Tour Player of the Year Award.
Pretty exclusive club.
The weirdest prop bet that you've ever seen that you were not a part of.
Oh boy, I guess probably Ted Forrest losing all that weight against Madison.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Best hockey team, man.
Taxi drivers.
Hard-working sons of bitches.
Favorite TV show and why?
Sons of Anarchy. Because I ride a Harley and I love it.
Gavin Smith in the 2012 main event.
Hopefully holding up the bracelet at the end of it. That's the goal.